Hello dear students, welcome back to the biology online class. This video is the continuation of chapter 2, that is biological classification. So in the previous classes we have studied about the characteristic features of kingdom Monera and kingdom Protista, right? So today we'll take up the new topic, that is kingdom fungi or kingdom Mycota. So coming to the characters, the first character is it is a unique kingdom of heterotrophic organisms. That means here the fungi members are achlorophyllous in nature. So what is the meaning of achlorophyllous? So achlorophyllous means the chlorophyll pigment is absent. So the fungal members do not possess chlorophyll pigment. So due to the lack of chlorophyll pigment, they cannot synthesize their own food. So that they are placed under heterotrophic nutrition. Is that clear? Okay, we'll move on to the second character then. Fungi are cosmopolitan in distribution. So cosmopolitan means found everywhere. So that fungi members are found in air, water, soil and on plants as well as animals. So this is about the distribution of fungal members. The next character is they prefer to grow in warm and humid places. That means they grow in places where the moisture content is present. Okay. Examples: bread mold, orange rods, mushrooms, toadstools, etc. White spots on the mustard leaves are due to a parasitic fungus. So in mustard leaves we can observe white spots, and these spots are due to the presence of parasitic fungus. Am I clear? Some fungi are the sources of antibiotics. What is the meaning of antibiotic? So antibiotic is nothing but it's a chemical substance which is extracted from one member and which can kill or retard the growth of other member. Okay. So for example, penicillium, it is a fungal member which contains the antibiotic, that is penicillin. So penicillin is the antibiotic which was extracted from the penicillium species. Understood? And some unicellular fungi, for example yeast, are used to make bread and beer. That means for making bread and beer, the yeast cells are used. So that yeast is also commonly referred as baker's yeast or brewer's yeast. Understood? And other fungi cause diseases in plants and animals. For example, wheat rust, it is a disease caused by the Puccinia. So Puccinia is a fungal member which causes disease wheat rust in wheat plants. Am I clear? Okay. Now coming to the structure, except yeast, all the other fungal members are multicellular or they are filamentous. Okay, that means they are made up of many cells. The plant body, it consists of a long, slender, thread-like structure called hyphae. So now this is the hyphae. So what is the meaning of hyphae? So hyphae is nothing but it's a plant body of fungus which is long and thread-like. Okay. So the network of hyphae is called as mycelium. So what is the difference between hyphae and mycelium then? So hyphae is nothing but it is the individual fungal filament or fungal body. Okay. Whereas mycelium means the network of hyphae is called as mycelium. Am I clear? Okay. Now This hyphae, it may be septate or aseptate. Okay, the hypha may be septate or aseptate. What is the meaning of septate hyphae and aseptate hyphae? So if the hypha contains cross walls, the cross walls are also called as here septa, then it is called as septate hyphae. Once again I will repeat. So if the hypha, so this is the hypha, if it produces cross walls like this, and these cross walls are referred as septa, then the hyphae is called as septate hyphae. Okay, so whereas some hyphae are continuous, which do not possess any cross walls. That means like this. So here the cross walls are entirely absent, or the septa are entirely absent, and such kind of hypha is called as aseptate hypha or cenocytic. Cenocytic means multinucleate. Okay, so if the hypha contains cross walls, then it is called as septate hypha. If the hypha do not possess any cross walls, then it is called as aseptate or cenocytic hypha. Is that clear? Okay, coming to the cell wall composition. Like plant cells, this fungus cell also contains an external covering layer which is called as cell wall. And here the cell wall is composed of chitin, which is also called as fungal cellulose, and polysaccharides. So the cell wall composition, mainly the cell wall of the fungal member contains chitin as well as polysaccharides. Am I clear? Yes. Coming to the next point. Most of the fungal members are saprophytic in nature. What is the meaning of saprophytic nutrition? Saprophytes are the organisms which feeds on dead and decaying matter. So which absorb soluble organic matter from the dead substrates. Okay, so here most of the fungal members are saprophytic in nature, whereas some are parasitic, means they can cause diseases in plants as well as in animals, and some live as symbionts. Symbionts means it is the mutual beneficial relationship. That means in lichens, the fungal member is present in association with the algae. So in lichen, it contains both algae and fungus. Okay, that means these two organisms get benefited. And in mycorrhiza, here the fungus is present within the roots of higher plants. So that is called as mycorrhiza. So mycorrhiza is nothing but if the fungal member is found in association with the roots of higher plants, then it is called as mycorrhiza. Is that clear? Okay. Coming to the next part, that is about the reproduction. Fungal members reproduces by three methods. They are vegetative method, asexual method, and sexual methods. Vegetative reproduction, here it takes place by three methods: fragmentation, fission, and budding. Fragmentation means if a fungal member breaks into smaller pieces due to some reasons, these smaller pieces are referred as fragments, and the process is called as fragmentation. And later on, each of this fragment will develops into new member. Okay, whereas fission means it is the division of the parent body. So the parent body divides to form the new individual. And budding means here the parent body during vegetative reproduction, it produces a small outgrowth, and this outgrowth is called as a bud, and the process is called as budding. So in this way vegetative reproduction takes place. Now along with the vegetative reproduction, the fungal members are also reproduced by asexual as well as sexual methods. The asexual reproduction takes place by the formation of spores, and these spores may be conidia, sporangiospores or zoospores. That means there are different kinds of spores which are formed during asexual reproduction. And this sexual reproduction, it also takes place by the formation of oospores, ascospores and basidiospores. And all these spores are produced in a distinct structure called fruiting body. So fruiting body, it is nothing but a reproductive structure which is found in the fungal member, which produces different kinds of spores like oospores, ascospores and basidiospores during sexual reproduction. Okay, is that clear? So now under sexual reproduction, it involves three stages. They are plasmogamy, karyogamy and meiosis. So plasmogamy, it is nothing but the fusion of protoplasm between the gametes. Okay, so plasmogamy means it is the fusion of protoplasm. Then what do you mean by karyogamy? So karyogamy is nothing but it is the fusion of nuclei. Once again I'll repeat, plasmogamy, it is the fusion of protoplasm, and karyogamy means it is the fusion of nuclei. So the third step is meiosis, and this meiosis, it occurs in the zygote, which results in the formation of haploid spores. Am I correct? Okay. Coming to the explanation, when a fungus reproduces sexually, two haploid hyphae of different types come together and fuse. Okay, so during sexual reproduction, what happens is two haploid hyphae come together and fuse. Okay, in some fungi, the fusion of the two haploid cells immediately result in the diploid cells. So what happens in some fungi? Immediately after the fusion of two haploid cells, a diploid cell is formed. That means cell with the diploid nucleus is formed, right? But in other fungal members, a dikaryotic stage or dikaryophase occurs. That means here only the plasmogamy takes place but not the karyogamy. Okay, so in the first case what happens? So here two fungal members, haploid hyphae of two fungal members come together and they fuse together, so that these two fungal members are haploid in nature. Okay, now in some fungi, the fusion of these haploid cells, it forms a diploid cell. That means here fusion results in the formation of a diploid nucleus. So here n plus n gives 2n. Okay, but in other fungi, these nuclei do not fuse together and it remains separate, so that a dikaryotic stage or a dikaryophase is formed. That means dikaryophase means fungal cell with two nuclei. Am I clear? Okay, in the first case what happens? After the fusion of two haploid hyphae, the nuclei also fuse together here, so that a diploid cell is formed. That means here plasmogamy as well as karyogamy takes place. Whereas in other group of fungi, plasmogamy takes place. As a result of this, two haploid hyphae fuse together, but the nuclei remains free. And such stage is called as dikaryotic stage or dikaryophase, means a cell with the two haploid nuclei. Okay, and such a condition is called as dikaryon. And later the parental nuclei fuse and the cells become diploid. So later what happens, these two nuclei fuse together and the cells become diploid. Okay, fungi form fruiting bodies in which reduction division occurs, leading to the formation of haploid spores. So during sexual reproduction, what happens is uh, two haploid hyphae come together like this and they fuse together. So as a result of this cell with the nucleus, that means diploid nucleus is formed. Okay, so here it is haploid and here it is also haploid. So later on, after the fusion, diploid cell is formed, that is nothing but the zygote. Now this zygote undergoes meiosis, which is nothing but the reduction division, which results in the formation of haploid spores, and these spores are produced in a structure called the fruiting body. Is that clear? Okay, so this is about the sexual reproduction. Any doubts? Okay, so this is about the events of sexual reproduction in the fungal member. Coming to the next topic, based on the morphology of mycelium, mode of spore formation and fruiting bodies, fungi are classified into various classes. They are class Phycomycetes, class Ascomycetes, class Basidiomycetes and class Deuteromycetes. So coming to the first class, that is class Phycomycetes, they occur in aquatic habitats and on decaying wood in moist and damp places or as obligate parasites on the plants. That means this is about the distribution. So these Phycomycetes members are mainly found in aquatic habitats. That means they are found in water. Along with the water, they are also found in the decaying wood in the moist and shady places. That means they are saprophytes also. And some of the members are parasites on the plants, can cause disease in the plants. Okay, and here the mycelium is aseptate. What is the meaning of aseptate? If the hypha do not possess any cross walls, then such kind of hypha is called as aseptate. So the mycelium is here aseptate and it is cenocytic. What is the meaning of cenocytic? It's a multi-nucleate condition, presence of many nuclei. Okay, and examples for Phycomycetes members are Mucor, Rhizopus, which is also called as a bread mold, and Albugo. It is a parasitic fungus on mustard plant. So Rhizopus, it is found in the bread, which is commonly called as bread mold, and Albugo, which is a parasitic fungus. Am I clear? Now coming to the reproduction part, in Phycomycetes, asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores or by aplanospores. Now what are the differences between zoospores and aplanospores? So zoospores are motile due to the presence of flagella. Okay, these zoospores are motile, whereas aplanospores are non-motile due to the absence of flagella. Okay, so asexual reproduction, it produces both zoospores or applanospores in phycomycetes. And these spores are produced in a structure called sporangium. Am I clear? So in phycomycetes, asexual reproduction takes place by either zoospores or by the formation of applanospores, and these spores are produced on a structure called sporangium. Whereas sexual reproduction, it takes place by the formation of zygospores, and this zygospore is formed by the fusion of two gametes, and these gametes are isogamous, means they are morphologically similar, or anisogamous or oogamous, means dissimilar. Okay, once again I'll repeat. The sexual reproduction in phycomycetes takes place by the formation of zygospores, and these zygospores are formed by the fusion of two gametes, and here the gametes are isogamous or anisogamous or oogamous. So what is the meaning of isogamous? If both the gametes are similar, then it is called as isogamous. Then anisogamous or oogamous means here the gametes are dissimilar. Okay, so these are about the characters of phycomycetes. Coming to the second class, that is ascomycetes. So here the members may be unicellular or multicellular. Example for unicellular is yeast, and example for multicellular is penicillium. And they are saprophytic, decomposers, parasitic or coprophilous. What is the meaning of coprophilous? Found growing in dung. And mycelium is here branched and septate. So these are about the members of ascomycetes, yeast and penicillium. Coming to the reproduction part, here asexual reproduction takes place by the formation of conidia, and these conidia are produced on a structure called conidiophores. So in ascomycetes, the asexual reproduction, it takes place by the formation of conidia. Conidia are nothing but the spores, and these conidia are produced on a structure called conidiophore. Okay, and later on the conidia germinate to produce the mycelium. Understood? This is about the asexual reproduction. Now coming to the sexual reproduction by ascospores, and these ascospores are produced in a structure called asci or ascus, and the asci are arranged to form a ascocarp or fruiting body. Okay, so in ascomycetes, asexual reproduction takes place by the formation of conidia, and the conidia are produced on the conidiophores. Later on, these conidia germinate to produce the mycelium. Whereas during sexual reproduction, here ascospores are produced, and these ascospores are produced in a structure called ascus, and many asci are arranged to form a fruiting body which is called as ascocarp. Understood? And examples for ascomycetes: aspergillus, claviceps and neurospora. Neurospora, it is used in biochemical and genetic work, and many members like morels and buffels are edible and are delicacies. Okay, so these are the pictures of claviceps and neurospora. So coming to the third class of kingdom fungi, that is basidiomycetes. This basidiomycetes include mushrooms, bracket fungi, or puffballs. They grow in soil and on logs, tree pieces or tree trunks and tree stems, and in living plant bodies as parasites. Okay, here mycelium is branched and septate, and the asexual spores are generally not found here, but the vegetative reproduction takes place by the method of fragmentation. Okay, so these members are found in soil and on logs and tree trunks on the surface of trees, and also in living plant bodies as parasites. So mycelium is branched and it is septate, whereas asexual spores are not generally found here, but the vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Understood? And here sex organs are absent, but plasmogamy occurs by the fusion of two vegetative or somatic cells of different strains. The resultant structure is a dikaryotic, which gives the basidium. Karyogamy and meiosis occur in basidium, producing 4 basidiospores, and these basidia are arranged in a fruiting body called basidiocarps. Okay, so usually here the sex organs are absent, but the plasmogamy takes place here. What is the meaning of plasmogamy? It is the fusion of protoplasm, right? So here the two vegetative or the somatic cells of different types fuse together. As a result of this, it produces a diploid structure, and this diploid structure produces the basidium. Okay, and the next two stages of sexual reproduction, that means the karyogamy as well as the meiosis, it occurs in the basidium itself to produce the spores, and here the spores are referred as basidiospores and are arranged in a or they are produced in a structure called basidiocarp. And examples: agaricus, eustylago and puccinia. So is that clear? These are about the characters of class basidiomycetes. Coming to the last class, that is deuteromycetes. They are commonly known as imperfect fungi because only the asexual or the vegetative phases of these fungi are known. When the sexual forms of these fungi were discovered, they were moved into the classes they rightly belonged to. It is also possible that the asexual and the vegetative stage have been given one name and the sexual stage another. Later, when the linkages were established, the fungi were correctly identified and moved out of deuteromycetes. Once perfect stages of members of deuteromycetes were discovered, they were often moved to ascomycetes and basidiomycetes. And these deuteromycetes reproduce only by the asexual spores known as conidia. And here the mycelium is septate and branched. The members may be saprophytes or parasites, while a large number of them are decomposers of litter and helps in mineral cycling. Some examples are Alternaria, Colletotrichum and Trichoderma. Once again, I'll repeat the characters of deuteromycetes. These deuteromycetes are commonly called as imperfect fungi because only the asexual reproduction is known here, and the mycelium is here septate and branched. The members may be saprophytes or parasites, and a large number of members are decomposers, which helps in mineral cycling. And during asexual reproduction, they produces conidia. An example